Did you read on the internet? The bisexual community is highly problematic. In fact, also the lesbian community is highly problematic. The communities are being problematic. Sometimes people say things on the internet, and as we all know, if you want to ask questions, you clarify and try and understand what's going on, you could also be labelled as problematic, so it's best not to. But I often wonder, when we hear about things like the problematic community, the bi community being problematic, who are we talking about? As far as I can figure, there's about 4 ways that we define community, at least in an LGBT sense. Number 1, the broadest community. This is the version of the community that just includes everyone. If there's a random 12-year-old who just figured out they were bisexual but had never spoken to another person about it, had never talked to another openly bisexual person, never been on the internet, they are a member of the community. And I think this comes from a place of compassion, right? We're here for you. No matter what, we're your community and we'll be here for you as soon as you're ready. That comes from a nice place. Number 2, the interwebs community. This is similar, except that anyone on the internet becomes a part of the community. If you're a 12-year-old bisexual and you get on Tumblr and you start liking, following blogs and reblogging, then you become part of the interwebs community. And on the interwebs, everyone is born equal, right? So like a 65-year-old bisexual can debate a 12-year-old bisexual on what 1970s San Francisco bisexual community was like, and both opinions are equally valid. Number 3, the IRL community. So that's pretty easy to get into. You go to a gay bar once or twice, you're part of the community, you're part of the broader community. But this is a real life, tangible community. You have connections to real people with bodies. Number 4, the IRL local community. So for example, in a city like Ljubljana, you might have a community of people who have gatherings, who regularly get together, probably based on a mutual identity, like LGBT or bisexual, and they make friends and they have a real network of relationships with each other, and that becomes a real local community of people. And every local community is going to be pretty distinct. For example, in Ljubljana, the bisexual community came out of feminism, and as a result, the community is very nerdy. It's very much like scientists and artists, and that's the bi community. And it's very feminist and very trans inclusive. There's a lot of trans people in the community. A lot of people are very open to non-monogamy. And also it's very drama-free. It's very chill. This feels different to me from my experience of the London bisexual community, which was definitely a lot more naked. The Bay Area community in the 1970s, the Bay Area bisexual community, came out of the free love movement and was really founded by Jewish doctors. So it was free love. Jewish doctors founded that community, and that definitely had an influence on what that community was. So in that sense, I think local communities can be very different from broader communities and interwebs communities, because they're really defined by just the people that make up that area and who wants to gather together and how those friendships form. In my local bisexual community, it's very trans-inclusive in every sense, and we don't care about bullshit definitions that exclude non-binary people and all this shit. But if someone isn't involved in the local community, but they are very much involved in the online community, then they will probably bring in this discourse from the internet with various stereotypes about bisexuals that don't really actually apply here in real life. And if the internet has decided the word bisexual is bad because it has connotations of binarism, but that your local community is not binary in any way and very extremely open, that sort of becomes irrelevant, because it doesn't matter that you're doing good, because the interwebs says you must be doing bad because you use wrong vocabulary, and we all know that only bad people use the wrong vocabulary and only good people use the right vocabulary. I think due to the inaccessibility of a lot of real life communities, because they're not everywhere and their work, people have to put in free work to making these community spaces, online communities are really important to a lot of people, and they can be really powerful in making you feel validated for the first time. But I think a lot of people who engage in the online community are not really engaging in real life communities, and that can lead to some really interesting discourse. One topic that I've seen discussed in depth on the internet is whether or not asexuals should be allowed in gay bars. And this is really fascinating because in real life, in 15 years of going to gay bars, I've never found there to be any problems with asexuals going to gay bars and not having sex with anyone. I've seen in gay bars straight women harassing gay people saying they're going to catch AIDS from them. I've seen men sexually assaulting other men and women at gay bars. I've seen various types of racism at gay bars, and yet I have never come across that devious asexual who has come to perhaps drink up all the alcohol so there's no alcohol left for all the gay people. And I haven't done it, but I think if you would talk to owners of various gay bars and would say, are you worried about asexuals coming into your bar? They might not know what you're talking about. But online, this seems important because, like, in theory, it's a question that can be asked. Can asexuals, especially asexuals who are, like, hetero-romantic, should they go to gay bars? And what could be the consequences? Well, in real life, there are no consequences and everything's fine. But in theory, they could suck up the resources. And that's a weird difference between online discourse and sort of what's actually happening in the real world. Another thing with community, we have the LGBT community, right? So like Giorgio Armani is a card-carrying member of the LGBT community, a billionaire, the richest LGBT person in the world. Is he part of the community? I'm not saying he's not gay or bi, but is he part of the community? Is he on bisexual Tumblr? Does he go to meetups? On his 200-foot yacht, does he meet up with other yachts on the ocean so they can have an LGBT get-together and volunteer on another LGBT yacht? Do they make cute zines for the community together on their yachts? But let's say, I don't know how he identifies because he's very private about this, but like, let's say he's bisexual. He's bisexual, and I know that there are a lot of bisexuals in America who are, for example, living in poverty. To what degree is a black bisexual American woman living in poverty the same community as a white billionaire who lives on a yacht? Is it possible that community doesn't really usually include wealthiest people in the world plus the people living in poverty? Is that really one community? Because I feel like community is where you give to each other and you take care of each other. And it doesn't really count as community if some people are living on yachts and they're billionaires and other people are like starving. So are there maybe limitations to identity politics? Can identity create an illusory sense of solidarity? Can it maybe even be performative? I may or may not have, in my long years, have known one or two activists in the community who, you know, they did great work. They were saving the world, according to their Instagrams. I mean, in the real world, they treated the community like shit, and the people who are actually surrounded by them were victims of their bullshit and sometimes severe abuse. In, I think, leftist communities in general, and especially the LGBT community, we create consensus on vocabularies and behaviors that are good. And the deeper you get into the community, the more knowledge you obtain and the more good you can become, the more pure you can become. So someone who is outside of the community coming into the community, that 12-year-old we were talking about earlier, who doesn't really know the lingo, they can easily be called out and harassed and bullied. But alternatively, they can be taken under someone's wing, someone who knows best. And all of these things can be used for the power of good. Call-out culture can definitely be used for the power of good. Becoming a leader in your community can definitely be used for the power of good. But when abusive people gain these tools, they can become weapons for them. And it happens all too often that in communities, and I think communities of any kind, this will go for like right-wing, like church people, whatever they are, when you have abusive people who can take advantage of what we deem right and wrong and can take advantage of things like call-out culture and can take advantage of positions of power, then you end up with a community full of fucking abusers. I've never really seen in leftist or LGBT circles a good way of handling abusive people who have gained power through these systems that we've created to help vulnerable people. I don't know what to do about it, and I don't know that anyone really knows what to do about it, but there are people in our community who are just fucking pieces of shit. And communities empower them, especially, I would think, online communities. And even when those IRL communities extend to online communities, it's all well and good us having a problem with that person in real life, but if on paper they look like the best person in the world, it can be really difficult to do anything about it. Also, this is something we don't want to talk about, because we don't want to say in the LGBT community there is an abusive person taking advantage of people, because we're worried that the opposition, the enemy, will take hold of stories like that. So we're scared to let anything happen because we are so vulnerable, because our communities are so vulnerable. So abusers have a place to thrive in our community. I feel that in these times it's important to touch on what's happening with coronavirus. And I think not everyone, but some people in LGBT communities at the moment who in the past, have talked a lot about the pride that we feel in the work that our people did for HIV and AIDS in the 80s and 90s. And that's so important, and we were suffering and we were struggling. But now that there is something similar happening with the government not really caring about people suffering and some dying, but it isn't this time about the LGBT community, maybe we don't care that much. Maybe our identity politics lead us to think, oh, well, it seems to be happening to the straights, because at the moment it seems like for many people, that no one in their local LGBT community, no one in their extended circle, no one in their online family has coronavirus. So it doesn't really feel like it's happening to our community, because it's happening to a different community. It's happening to the cisheads. And I feel like a lot of us become activists because we care about humanity. But it seems like we stopped at some point caring about humanity and started caring about our in-groups only. It's this community versus this community. And I don't think I even want to use the word community anymore. I want to help people. I don't care if so-and-so living in a village in the middle of nowhere identifies as bisexual. I don't care if they are one of us. Bisexuality should be liberated and normalized. I want to do work that will help people and humanity in general. And I do care about humanity, and I don't think it's us against them. Maybe community is becoming too wrapped up in identity politics. Maybe community is too easily performative in this day and age. Maybe it's too easy to take advantage of community. Like and subscribe! No, I wanna believe that there is a positive future, and maybe that the bright positive future is where we move away from these illusions of community that we're creating to help people. And we can help LGBT people, we can focus on bisexual people, but let's question and analyze these ideas of community and what all this really means, and why we divide ourselves into the groups that we divide ourselves into, how someone else becomes them and not us. Thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. Also, if you'd like to support me on Patreon, I would be supportive of your decision to support me. Also, please check out my Kickstarter. It's for my graphic novel Hugged, which is sort of the story of me being a freak of gender in my 20s. I'm trying to make print copies of it. People have quite enjoyed it in PDF form, but I think comics need to be printed sometimes. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.